What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more of The Cure as we continue through Wild Mood Swings, 1996. Thank you as always to Phil. And the next track is This Is a Lie, which struck me in two ways when I looked at the next song in the playlist. First of all, normally if someone says something that you think is dishonest, you would say that is a lie, which like distances yourself from it, like because that is something far away, this is something with close proximity, something right in front of you. So to say that is a lie is to say, like, essentially you're not near that, you're not connected to that. But to say this is a lie is to actually bring it close to you. Now if it's affecting you, or if it's something that is immediately problematic, then maybe that phrasing is more likely. It also made me think there's some movie or show, I think it's a movie, but I can't place it, but someone says something and another person looks at the people who were addressed by the statement from the first person and says, like, this is a lie, which, like, it's just like the way I think he says it. But yeah, it reminded me of a situation or a scene in which someone immediately flags something that's been said as dishonest, but they do it again with the this usage rather than that. So I don't think that'll have any impact on the song, but yeah, I found the phrasing a bit curious. In any case, I will try to follow what I can. Let's listen. This is The Cure. The song is This Is a Lie. And in fact, now that I'm just about to introduce it, I suppose it's something you might say about what you're saying, but in that case, it would likely be more internal monologue, like, this is a lie, but I'm going to say it for, strategic reasons, or because I don't want to face the emotional reality, or I don't want to fess up to what I've done, so this is a lie, but, and then you speak what is actually untrue. You can, of course, lie to yourself also. Like, this is a lie, I'm aware of it, but I'm going to keep repeating it as a mantra because it's too awful to contemplate the reality and to acknowledge what is the truth. So any one of these things might be completely irrelevant or possibly connected to the meaning. Let's give it a listen. This is The Cure. The song is This Is a Lie, and it's from Wild Mood Swings, 1996. I like that.
Decides I've never been sure the part we play, the way we are. Each of us denies any other way in the world. Why each of us must choose, I've never understood. One special friend, one true love. Why each of us must lose everyone else in the world. However unsure, however unwise, day after day, play out our lives. However confused, pretending to know to the end. This isn't true, this isn't right, this isn't arrived. How each of us believes I've never really known. In heaven unseen, in hell unknown. How each of us dreams to understand anything at all. Why each of us decides I've never been shown the part we take, the way we are. Each of us denies every other way in the world. However unsure, however unwise, day after day, play out our lives. Ever confused, pretending to know to the end. This isn't true, this isn't right, this isn't love, this isn't right, this isn't real, this is a lie. This isn't true, this isn't right, this isn't love, this isn't love, this isn't real. This is a lie.
Awesome. Okay, first of all, I love the dark, modern, classical sort of feel. Definitely, the strings give it that vibe, but even just I don't know if they're like woodwinds or there's elements here beyond, guitar, bass, and drums that give it a bit more scope and a bit of a modern classical feel. Secondarily, the drums have this percussive cycling that I don't know if I'd call it intense, but it's certainly dynamic and a major factor in the sonic atmosphere of the tune. Lyrically, in terms of this isn't true, this is a lie, the sort of refrains of the chorus, I actually don't quite know what to make of those, but the verses I feel like I have a slightly better handle on. It's like he's saying we go through our lives day by day over time, and it's as to why we choose to be a certain way, as to why any person believes what they do, he doesn't really know about that. But what he does know is that people kind of get locked into their way of seeing, their way of doing, their way of believing, and everything outside of that, it's almost like they can't understand it, or they can't agree that that's a valid way. So it's essentially people get locked onto these tracks of identity, understanding, and emotion / behavior, and because that's familiar, because it allows us to make sense of the world, whether on some objective or independent framework it really is or not. And of course that's the thing about being sapient, emotional, subjective beings. It's inherently subjective, and even though some people might be more rational than others, even though some might be more logical or more empirical or evidence-based in the way they see the world and the way they try to act, we all have inconsistencies, we all have irrationalities, and we all have behaviors that are more force of habit and derived from our particular idiosyncratic upbringing and socialization and psychology. And so again, the idea that someone else might be in the same situation and think, feel, and do something completely different, it's hard to understand that. So then again, I think there's a bit of this where our lives are, they run in the same direction time-wise, and we're together, we're aggregated in groups, and sometimes we're close to certain people, but it's parallel. It's not unified and connected. It's more like parallel, which reminds me of this Bad Religion song of the same name, Parallel, which has a bit of the same meaning. Nevertheless, the point is, that's what I took away that from the verses, that he's saying, like, you know, he doesn't know how and why these processes fall into the places they do, but once you do, it's hard to accept and believe what somebody else does, and so that, like, this is a lie, this is truth, like, or this is not true, this is a lie. Again, I don't quite know how those refrains fit in, whether it's like the insistence that what other people do is not true, or whether, like, you're aware that you're sort of rationalizing yourself. So one that lyrically I'll have to listen to. The vocals back to a more typical Robert sounding delivery, and thank you to everyone who did confirm indeed it was him in Club America, but, you know, sort of affecting, I guess, like an American accent, or adopting a persona that was the type of person that he was critiquing, which is to say, you know, sort of shallow or crass Americans and their, you know, concern for image over substance and so on. Nevertheless, this vocal performance is more in his typical range. But yeah, just really interesting sonics and an overall experience of a song that was very moving and powerful, even if I'm not quite sure where the themes and the lyrics land on this one. In any case, let me know what you think, and Luca and I will see you next time. Peace.